Okay, so I want you to watch this video real quick. It's about race. It's about people of color. It's about inclusion and exclusion. Watch it and pay real careful attention to how he describes what is and what isn't, okay? And who can and who can't. And then I'll say something about it.
White Latina, indigenous Latina, Afro Latina, which is what I am. Not light skin, not light skin. Me, light skin. Not black, so can't be light skin. Not black, so cannot be light skin. Light skin. Hair does not define Afro Latina. Hair does not define white Latinas and or indigenous Latinas. Could have any hair texture. Could have any hair texture. Hair texture doesn't determine race.
So just to clarify, Latino is not a race. Hispanic is not a race. Latinx is not a race. And you're suggesting that hair texture doesn't define race. Well, what does define race? Skin color? Are the people in the Congo who have extremely dark skin the same race as the people in India or Brazil or Louisiana or Australia, who also have the same deep, dark color of skin? How do you define race? What are your parameters for determining which racial subgroup someone should fit in? And this is a difficult conversation because there's so much emotional attachment to things like Afro-American or African-American or Afro-Latino or white or black. And so many people don't understand the definitions and the differences of definitions of race, ethnicity, nationality, and so on. So if we're going to really talk about this responsibly and maturely, then we probably need to understand the definition of these words, race specifically, and where they came from. Because the indigenous people of the Americas, North America, South America, the islands surrounding, the indigenous peoples of Africa, we never used the word or the concept of race. We had tribes, we had villages, we had nations, and we adopt different ideas and labels over time as language evolves. But the idea of race, separating the Negroid from the Caucasoid and the Mongoloid and whatever oids they have now. Like, this was all invented by some Europeans, and it was called eugenics. And they would suggest that the shape of your head, the color of your skin, the shape of your nose, your bone structure, the texture of your hair, the color of your eyes, the color of your hair, and so on, your build and your frame, all of those things factored in I guess they call them phenotypes. All of those things factored in determined what race you belong to, and thus determined whether or not you were pure or superior, or whether you were part animal. That's where race comes from. But if we look at it on the scientific level, we got things like genus and race and family and species, and that kind of contradicts the generalized or the popular or normalized ideas of race, meaning the black race or the white race, and who is and who isn't allowed to be a part of that. My God. And I'll be honest, like, I'm studying this information in depth, and I watch a lot of different content creators and a lot of different posts from regular people, from passionate people, from scholars and so on. And I'm starting to realize that I'm even wrong about a lot of things that I've advocated for in the past. And like, you really have to be objective. You really have to use critical thinking. You really have to be honest with yourself. And you have to learn how to separate yourself from those emotional attachments to the propaganda, to these false ideas, to these indoctrinated systems of belief. And the reason that so many people of color cling to whatever, oh, I'm Latino, I'm Hispanic, I'm Latinx, I'm a Negro, I'm a black man, I'm Afro-American. The reason that we get so attached and so emotionally unstable at times about these labels of identity is because we don't even know how to identify ourselves. It's because of the trauma and the terrorism and the human trafficking of our ancestors, because of how their culture and history, how our heritage has been erased. Our original languages, our original names, our original cultural practices, our original systems of spirituality were erased, were beaten out of us, right? And, we sit up here and we take pride in the fact that I speak English so articulately and so well, and I have such an extensive vocabulary. Or I'm proud to speak Spanish. It is my language. No, man. English, Spanish, French, all that is Portuguese. It don't matter if you're from Brazil or Haiti or Cuba. All that is them extra light-skinned folks. That's they stuff. That's European. That's white people language. But we so proud. Come on, man. Like, we suffer so much trauma and so much detachment that we are so eager and so willing, so vulnerable, that we are so desperate to cling to anything that gives us an identity. And it's like, nah, we got to do a lot more thinking and thoughtful research, so be careful about how you classify people and who you say can and can't be involved in your little racial cult.